Hey, everybody, it's Eddie Garcia from the Puck Podcast with another Puck Podcast reaction video. We've done one of these before. This isn't the most high tech thing in the world, so I apologize because I'm not that smart when it comes to these kind of things. But hopefully, you enjoy this. We're going to try and do something involving a couple of different videos, so that should go smoothly, I'm sure. Connor McDavid, NHL superstar, future Hall of Famer, amazing player for the Edmonton Oilers, one of the greatest Oilers already of all time. And usually he's in the highlights for doing some amazing things, whether it's skating through a defense to set up a teammate with a great pass or an amazing goal, of course. But this week he's been in the spotlight for a couple of different things. So let's start with our first incident, which came on Wednesday with McDavid and the Oilers taking on the Minnesota Wild. So you see Connor McDavid here. He is not have the puck on his stick. It's kind of behind him, and he's skating up towards the blue line away from the net as they're kind of cycling things around here. And Marcus Johansson in the foreground for Minnesota Wild is, I guess, playing defense. And boom, right there, Connor McDavid with the elbow to the head of Marcus Johansson. Now, it was very subtle. It certainly wasn't all that violent, but his right elbow does make contact with the chin of Marcus Johansson. Now, when you see him throw his arms up in the air like that, you can say, oh, he's just trying to sell it. He's just trying to get a call. And maybe that's true. But again, the elbow does make contact with the head, and it did cause an injury. Now, you could say Marcus Johansson was trying to sell that, and that's fine, but he has now been placed on injured reserve, and he with reportedly concussion. So maybe that was just the perfect spot, as they say, on the button, as they would say probably in boxing. And if you're an Oilers fan, you'd be like, oh, it's not Connor McDavid's fault. That guy's Glass Joe and has a glass chin. But that doesn't change the fact that that was an elbow to the head. Yes, it was not the most violent thing in the world, but it was illegal. I believe Connor McDavid absolutely did it on purpose. Now, did he mean to hurt the guy? Probably not. But it is an illegal act that caused an injury. So you can't just kind of let that go. And I get that in the moment, the officials on the ice didn't call it, didn't see it. Okay, that happens. Certainly they could have seen the reaction. Like everybody saw Johansson throw his arms up in the air. But to not review that as a league, the NHL needs to absolutely review that. And guess what? They need to suspend, or not suspend, but at least fine Connor McDavid for something illegal. All right, so now we come to our next clip. This was from Saturday night as the Oilers were taking on the Vancouver Canucks. It's very late in the game. Oilers are trying to tie it up, and Connor McDavid gets into it with Connor Garland of the Vancouver Canucks. He goes down. Garland does the leg lock on him right there. Not going to let you get up. McDavid's like, get off me. Let me get me up. He gets up, and then he grabs her around the waist, and McDavid obviously is frustrated with that. So look, Connor Garland is committing a couple of different penalties there. He's holding him for sure. But what Connor McDavid decides to do in retaliation to what Connor Garland is doing is, unfortunately for him, way over the line. He cross-checks him right in the face. Again, was it unprovoked? Of course not. But did it need to draw that kind of a reaction? No. Now the situation is the Canucks are up by a goal. There's 2 seconds left in the game. I mean, McDavid's obviously trying to get back in the play to try and tie this thing up for his team. And there's definitely multiple penalties there. But boom, you can't cross-check him in the face like that. You just can't. I understand the frustration. I'm sure McDavid gets a lot of this on him because of who he is and his abilities. And you're going to try and, if you're Connor Garland, you're trying to do anything to help to stop one of the best players in the world from maybe scoring on your team. So there's a penalty there for sure. And I get the frustration by Connor McDavid. However, that does not excuse the actions of cross-checking a guy in the face, which is a very dangerous play and obviously can cause a significant injury. So what is the NHL going to do to Connor McDavid? Well, they should have fined him for the elbow on Marcus Johansson. They didn't. And again, just send a message to him that, you can't get away with that. We're not going to suspend you because it wasn't the dirtiest thing we've ever seen. It was a subtle little, slick little elbow. to the chin, but it did cause an injury. It was something that was illegal. So we're going to fine you. And God knows Connor McDavid can afford the fine. So at least you're kind of sending a message. Now, would that fine have prevented Connor McDavid from cross-checking Connor Garland in the face? Probably not. But again, it's something that's now on his record, and you take that into account when he does something else like he did against Connor Garland. So the NHL doesn't usually suspend superstars. Looking back in the past few seasons, the last two big name stars that received a suspension, a couple years ago, Kyle McCarr got a 1-game suspension for Colorado. And the year before that, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, Austin Matthews got a 2-game suspension for a high stick incident. So doesn't happen very often. Of course, those guys usually don't put themselves in that position because they're so important to their teams. However, with the NHL, it's kind of one of those things where I'll believe it when I see it. I think Connor McDavid does certainly deserve a 1 or a 2-game suspension for that cross check. He thought he could get away with it because it was in the final seconds. Who cares? It's not going to hurt my team. But we'll see what the NHL decides to do to a superstar in Connor McDavid. Will they suspend him? He does have a hearing with the Department of Player Safety, so it appears that a suspension is coming. How long will it be? Will it be more than 2 games? I would be surprised if it is. But again, Connor McDavid, a superstar player, in the spotlight this week for a couple of things that he crossed the line with. So we shall see what the NHL does, and we will talk about it on an upcoming Puck Podcast episode for sure. If you like this, subscribe to our channel, please. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Also, check out our full podcast, a 3-period show, covers the entire NHL. It's over 2 hours of content every Monday morning. You can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts and search Puck Podcast.